Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I'm thrilled to have back on again Paul Rust and Michael Cassady of Don't Stop or We'll Die. They have just released another fantastic album called Signature Please, and I'm super excited to talk to them all about it. Paul, Michael, it's been over 2 years. How are you? What's happening?
What's happening? Hey,
Oh,
thanks so much for having us again.
thank you for taking the time out of your lives. It means a
Oh,
lot.
it's the time of our lives to take time for you.
My heart is warm.
To take the time out of our life to have the time of our lives with you is just a time I'd like to time.
Time I'd like to live. Great to see you, man.
Great to see you too.
Yeah, the last time we spoke was 2 years ago.
Yeah, and it's been 10 years since we last spoke. It feels like just based.
That's right. We time warped. Time is a flat
day-
circle.
Every day is a month. I fully feel that. But obviously, you guys have been super busy in your own lives and music. If people don't know, you have your own podcast called Song a Week, which I am a frequent listener of, and it brings happiness to my life. And just know that what you're doing, people are loving it. How has that been? How has that experience been?
Thank you very much.
Oh, it's awesome. Having been 2 years now, over 2 years.
Yeah.
Since we started. So, the conceit of having a new, fully produced "Don't Stop, Roll Die" song once a week, every Wednesday, has just it's been really fun, and both on like a just fun way to spend your time, but also creatively. It's just we've done 100 songs now. Like it's forced us to be different and try new things in ways that have been really exciting.
Yeah, I fully agree. Like it's having an output like that stretches you out a little bit, like to maintain variety on the podcast and stuff. And then as you're going along, I don't know, the fun of it has been too, like as you go along, you're able to go back and kind of harvest the seeds. If the initially produced song is like the weekly kind of seed you're planting,
yeah,
you can go back and see and like refine material that you wrote, but you write it no matter what and get it out there. That's been awesome.
It's absolutely crazy. I've had the opportunity to speak to so many amazing artists over the last like 3 years at this point, and so many of them focus on like, okay, I'm gonna do one song a month, and they do it, and it's great, and the quality is there. But I actually can't imagine putting myself in the shoes of doing one song a week. I'm sure this is a question that you get asked a lot, but like, where are you pulling this creativity from? Like, where are you pulling the energy and the drive to keep on doing this? Because no matter quality or quantity, it's just an insane work ethic on your guys' part.
Oh, well, to give all credit where credit's due, before he is immodest, or is modest, I'll be immodest for him. Mike, right here, has been really amazing in terms of carving out the time to devote to embellish all the songs that we sit down and write together and sing together. But then once the piano parts are done, and then beyond Mike too, we're able to pull it off because of Tony Thaxton, our regular drummer. Instead of having to program a bunch of robot drums, which I think is maybe a little more difficult, and then our guitarist, and also half of the songs are produced by Amin Zarukian. And so having all of those guys devote their talents to the songs is usually how that's able to be pulled off.
Well, wow! I thought you were going to bring up Amin, and you did make immodesty by, but I thank you. And of course, like Paul and I writing the songs is the beginning of the production process, but that is also like something that we've always been able to do, like together, is when something hits or like we find a musical nugget or something that we like,
Yeah.
the song is done pretty quickly. Like that's always been the case.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like
yeah.
that was part of why we wanted to start something like the podcast was, you know, instead of recording 10 jams and pursuing one of them, what if we pursued them all?
I mean,
Just
you kind of have
like an
to.
experiment where you pursue everything for a little while.
Yeah, what was
Yeah.
happening was that we were recording a bunch of songs, just scraps of songs, and then it kind of two things would happen when it was time to record an album. We would get really precious, and then not focus on all the songs and just like be like, okay, let's make all these 12 really good. And then, but now with this, it's like you get to explore each one. And also, even though the production level has always stayed quality, the idea of like overthinking and being precious and stuff is also taken away. So,
Sure.
kind of the two hurdles that were coming along with us following up on songs that we were jamming on, like, was really taken care of with this in a satisfying way.
Yeah, and you know, all 100 of those songs to some degree they weren't all during quote unquote lockdown, but all of the songs on the Signature Please album and all the songs that we've released on either volumes or the vinyl, that was all recorded separately. Like we have to relearn the songs to play them live because we wrote them. Paul and I would write them. And
oh yeah, speak to that. So yeah, we would write them, then you would send them to Tony and Amin.
Then we like I'd engineer like an initial kind of skeleton of it, and then send it to Amin, who, speaking to the state of the quality of the songs, I feel like it's just so far and away so impressive what he and Tony and the other folks who help. You know, we've had other people producing the songs, but Amin's ability to really quickly produce things at a state-of-the-art level where we're doing kind of big genre swings, or you know, his spectrum of abilities is really impressive. So then whoever's producing the song then would Tony would record drums as often as we could. Sometimes it wasn't Tony, but as often as we possibly could. And then he would produce it. Then it would get sent back to Paul and I. We'd record our vocal session on top of kind of a demo.
Sure.
And then whoever was producing that week, the lion's share of that was Amin, or myself, or Adam Schatz on a couple guest spots later in the 100.
Yeah.
And then they would kind of mix and master up a final, and we'd stay as far ahead of the schedule as we could. But like it got down to a kind of a quick version of that by the end.
And that was our long, blabby first answer to your question. We'll be more concise afterwards.
No, that's what this is about. There's no rules. I make the rules. Well, I do want to talk a bit about Signature Please, obviously, here. So I've had the opportunity. I listened to it 3 times at this point, and I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass, but truly, like, it has gotten better with each listen. Like, you become familiar with everything. And one thing that I love about your guys' music the most is that you're not afraid of experimentation, but at the same time you still manage to keep this cohesive sound. Like, you know it's you, but you experiment within this realm of just like everything. Like, nothing is off limits, but it's still a Don't Stop and We'll Die song. So basically my question here is like, what's the elevator pitch for your guys' music? Like, you pull from so many different styles and genres. How do you explain it to someone that's never listened before?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is some. That was pretty. That was well said. But yeah, I think it's like we're lovers of music of all kinds.
Yeah.
And I know usually people say that when they don't love any kind of music. They're like, I love it all.
No, it's different nowadays.
Yeah, yes, that's true. And stylistically, yeah, we just love different things. So I think that's where the start is. But then because we end up, I don't know, content-wise, sort of, the lyrics kind of end up being not similar in a bad way. It's just like is what makes it cohesive. I think if the lyrics were different for each song or something, but the fact that they're
even
all dumb and weird.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Like topic or content wise, it's a little different maybe, but like the degree to which it takes itself seriously maybe, or is part of like making wild stabs at lyrics or music is like, why not just try it all and not take it too seriously, and like what you were saying earlier, not be precious about it. And
I don't know, because of my playing or singing and our just general little more DIY funky vibe. This isn't to say that what we're doing that is like Steely Dan and we're crafting these like perfect like
crazy. I don't think that's the goal. I think the goal is to have fun.
Yeah. So they're crazy and weird.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, all right. If anyone asks them to say they make crazy and weird music, and just click the play button.
If somebody saw Mike and I in an elevator, just the two of us, and we came up to him and went crazy and weird, I'm sure people would want to listen to our music.
Yeah. I'm in. Sign me up immediately. Now, I can only imagine that not everything that you create in the moment makes the final cut. Is that correct, in a way?
Yeah. There's songs that we jam, that we wander into slowly and try a few different things first. There's also like Song of the Week was also an opportunity to go back through and some of the standout jams that we had from years ago over the course of 10 years or more. And being able to go back and go like, this piece might work with this piece, or like if we added a chorus to this, like we'd be able to have a full thing.
Yeah, there were songs from like 2007 or 8 that we were revisit that we never went back to, and being able to kind of come back to them. That was problems that we could never solve or something. We were able to solve them. Yeah, like when it was with time or something. Yeah, songs written in like whatever the Bird and Fox and Camping Trip kind of era of like writing stuff. I don't know. That's been like a huge advantage to having Paul is like when we're writing partners that can like quickly move between song ideas, so it's fun to just have a big pot of them and pull from. And then as far as like I would say the editing and stuff, a lot of it happens within the songwriting. So it'll be like when Mike and I are writing stuff, it might be we like the verses, and then it's like 3 cracks before we get to a chorus that we like. So that's another way. But then, and then when it's this is the 3rd volume of 12 songs that we're releasing from the Song of the Week podcast, and I would say with each volume we end up sort of taking 1 or 2 out from the podcast, so we're just like they're nice to have on the podcast, but they don't need to be in a volume. So that's like kind of the final time then that they get edited down, whittled down.
Yeah, totally reasonable. So the record comes out January 26th, and I know that you guys also have an album release show coming up as well. So the last time we spoke, the possibility of concerts happening was like the farthest thing in the world, but thankfully, like you've been back, you've had the opportunity to play. I want to know, as you've continued to build up like an actual massive discography, how do you decide what goes into a set list? Like, who makes that decision? Are there staples from past albums that have to be there, or is it just, who knows? Yeah, great question. I think like the ultimate goal of a set list is to play a great show, like not whatever, that's too like dreamy about it or something, but what is going to make the show the most fun to experience and the most fun to play too, because we don't play that many shows, but like it's been awesome to come back out, and when we do play a show, like we do want to play songs that are fun for us to play together.
And now with the Song of the Week stuff, there's some stuff that's never, we have to learn the songs again after recording them 2 years ago.
The ones we've been pulling from the podcast that we've been playing, though, have been that we've been gently like putting into set lists, have been things that have now gone, onto streaming services. And so hopefully when people come to see us play, they've heard it on a volume. And that's been good because then a live show forces us to figure out a couple of new songs to play and add. Right. And so it's a little bit of that. And then, probably just like familiar faves that we're not burnout on and that we don't think the audience is like burnout on.
Yeah. A few faves of ours and a few faves of like whatever most listened to stuff, but we rotate between that stuff even.
But in terms of your question of like looking at the group of songs and then being able to figure out what to play live, that's like a difficult thing to get our mind, because it would involve picking out of 100 which ones to play live, adding to the few, and then also like Mike said, figuring them out how to play, and then finally like getting them in a groove. And I mean, like, it's just a different system. Is like usually writing this stuff, by the time you're recording it because you've like jammed and played on it so many times, you'll like remember it forever. Now it's like, if we sat down, I'd be like, what?
What is Tookie?
I forget what happened. It's like 2 years later having to remember questions you were asked on a pop quiz.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I would say too that like in addition to like writing songs together, I feel like Paul and I both do like love making set lists. Like that's like I like kind of the Tetris game of like writing a tone up and down and finding songs that complement each other, or
where creativity and OCD meet.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, though, I mean, I love that. If there was one job in the world, it would be taking my favorite band's music and making the perfect set list. Like,
my God,
got 20 songs. Let's make the perfect show with all the emotions and energy and where to. It's just like
it's the teenage crossword.
That would
actually
perfect job to have, like a consultant for bands who you're like, I figured out perfect set list for you guys.
Actually, though.
It's a little bit like whether it's if it's a low key band or a less famous band, and you're
metronome
the person would have an eye on like, this is what I think is gold, or to get over that thing of like when people get too famous and then they don't have enough people saying no. That consultant would be the no to the bands.
That's right. You got to pay for that no.
Don't play 3/4 of the new album.
No one wants to hear that. No one wants to hear the hits. Like,
only for you guys.
Like no one goes to see Paul McCartney in 2022 and we totally want to hear your newest album. Like, no, dude. Like, you only got so much time left.
Yeah.
To get to the hits.
Right on.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, is the show the 26th as well?
That's yes. Right. Yep.
Okay.
Thursday 6th at the Lodge Room.
Nice. Lodge Room is pretty sweet. If you guys are in LA, highly recommend going.
We did a show there. 8 months ago, or
that's about right.
And it was so fun because it was same lineup of bands as Townland and the Sloppy Boys.
Nice.
And so
LA staples.
Yeah, so in addition to getting just to for people to come together and see live music, I think it was mainly just a fun excuse to get a community together, which is like
No, I think if you're a fan of one, you're a fan of all. It's like that kind of, you guys are all connected in a way. So
it's nice that it worked out, because I've been in before Don't Stop or We'll Die. I don't think we've ever had to encounter this too much, but I've been in like a silly band or something, and somebody will book a show and they'll be like, well, this is a silly band and that's a silly band. They don't know each other. They're different kinds of comedy or whatever.
Sure.
And believe me, when we were in college, my band was opening for the Frogs. None of the Frogs fans liked us. They were like,
really funny.
they're not funny. These guys suck. Get them off the stage. We know what's funny and weird. Now it is nice to be with two bands, other bands who all have shared sensibility.
Yes, there's some shared DNA there. Definitely.
Love that. Well, in that case, is there either one or a handful of songs off this record that you're most looking forward to playing for the first time live?
Ooh. Yeah, well, the new song on there, we have this song called "That's My Vibe," and we'll be playing that live, and that's like a fun country song. Which just an additional comment on the Song of the Week songs, but also these volumes and stuff. A lot of times when we'd be writing lyrics, they would be during rehearsals. Previously, before Song of the Week, we'd be writing in rehearsals or while we were recording in studio. So a lot of times they'd be quickly written, or we would do the third verse, same as the first sort of thing, right, Ricky? Sure. But now, because of the way we work, like we'll go off and write a bunch of lyrics together, and then we like all of them and we don't want to cut them. So like a song like "That's My Vibe" that maybe previously would be 3 minutes long and have like 3 stanzas is now 5 minutes long or whatever and has 6 stanzas.
Gotcha.
Which is fun. So yeah, that's the other component now. Playing these live, I'm like, God, we got all these words.
Seriously, it's not easy getting up there and playing live.
Oh, I know.
To figure out.
I already got to remember which fingers to put on which strings.
Oh,
yeah.
Geez.
Well, we can we'll get a program
today. Which fingers do I have to put on which keys? I'm thinking which strings.
That's right. That's the only difference between our processes.
Love that. I've got a few more for you guys. I want to know.
Of course.
I mean, we're right at the top of the year here. We're recording this on the 4th, and so the obvious question becomes what does this year look like for you guys? Either musically, professionally, or just like some lofty goals that you'd hopefully like to hit by year's end?
Well, to change things up on a fun flip side, we were just talking a couple weeks ago with our buddies Tony and Amin, who are in the band with us, and we were like, got together to record a song in a rehearsal space, and that was just a fun way to approach songwriting again and also recording. So Mike and I were just thinking it'd be fun to, jam on stuff for a few months and then kind of do it how we used to do it and take a step back and figure out the stuff we love and
get together and play music like in a live, not in a vacuum where the keyboard part and the drum part and the bass part and the guitar part have never been performed at the same time.
Exactly. Right.
In all of time and space, and like writing it in a more kind of in a room with human beings,
organic,
because now we can do that. And kind of gathering material. Kind of, I think we're in the writing phase, the winter spring writing phase.
Yeah, and then along with that, it was really difficult not really difficult. It was just like a challenge to be producing a song every week, and then also get these volumes of releases out. And so now that we're like taking a pause, we can with Song of the Week we'll be able to release the remaining 36 have been released, and we have 100. What is that?
There's
64.
There's more volumes of tunes that we go back through, and we, like we said, we remaster them certainly, but we kind of see what they might have needed if we had taken a month to look at it instead of 5 days.
This new volume has all kinds of new additional brass and guitar parts and additional vocal harmonies that we've gone back and made everything sound unified with all the songs, because when we record them in different ways, but now they all kind of sound like they're part of the same world. And then but then being able to do that with the other songs and being able to have more time now to get those out. I guess to answer your question this year of like, Mike and I, it'd be nice. The last time we got one of these out was like 14 months ago. So maybe doing them every 5 or 6 months or 4 or something like that. Just getting them out a little bit more frequently.
Yeah, right. Taking the time to go back and look at what we've got. And so hopefully there'll be more news coming out later this year about other versions, like other volumes like this.
Yes, yeah.
Sweet. Well, lots to look forward to. I also want to know, obviously nothing has come out this year, but like, does your guys' personal music taste have any impact on the music that you make? Or do you actively try to kind of keep them apart in order to not like pull ideas?
I think go ahead, Mike.
I would say that we lean into those influences usually.
Okay.
Especially because with the podcast, with Song a Week, sometimes we'd be looking for inspiration, so it might even be like, this thing just popped up randomly on my Spotify.
Oh, that's great.
This is a fun vibe. Why don't we try this for next week? So more than other times, we've probably been more open to the stuff we're currently listening to. And then, I guess the overall stuff, so funny, I was talking to a friend who was like, I was really into Dylan as a teenager. And then when I grew up, I sort of was less interested. I was like, I feel like that's the opposite experience of me and projecting other people then, thinking the opposite experience, which I think it has to come with wisdom, like to appreciate it. Not to say I have any wisdom, but just growing older, I feel like I have a different appreciation than I did when I was trying to get into it in high school. That's not to say that's influenced our music at all, but I've just been digging Bob Dylan a lot while we've been doing these songs.
Look who's being humble now. You have plenty of wisdom to share. You're a very wise man. One of the smartest guys I know.
All of our songs about denim vests. The deep knowledge of information about which fictional characters have lived in Chicago.
That's a teaser of gonna go back to the Song a Week files. That's not on this volume, not yet.
Yeah, we were playing a show in Chicago, and so to highlight the occasion, we used the Song a Week to write a song called Chicagoland. Okay. And Mike wrote it, and then we recorded it. And I don't know if you're familiar with there's a affiliate in Chicago called WGN.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we had a big chorus that goes WGN. So any Chicagoland fan out there, they can go to the podcast now and hear it, and then later, I'm sure it'll be a lead-off track.
Yeah, dig in before we get into legal.
Yeah, before Ryan Sandberg's lawyers get a hold of it.
Oh, man, I love that. Guys, my last question for you here is, it's basically for the person that is going to discover you from this. What is an opening message that you'd like to say to them before they listen to your music for the first time?
Oh, man. Hey, you ever remember those times when you're hanging out with friends and you're laughing and having fun, and then later you're trying to explain to somebody why it was funny, and you're like, you can't, come in, listen to the music, we're gonna laugh,
we're gonna have fun,
and then later you'll be like, I think it was because they were supposed to swear at some point, but they didn't.
Got it.
That was a terrible way to invite people.
No, it's a good invitation, an induction.
You've hooked me. That sold me if I wasn't already sold.
Join the club.
Yeah.
Join the club.
Take a load off.
Yeah. don't take it too seriously, but also enjoy yourself. I think it'll collectively put a smile on your faces. What else do you
that's
need?
right.
Maybe, indulge in not taking yourself too seriously.
Yeah, like when we said join the club, club is like written, like the L is backwards.
Yeah, and it might even be like the K is spray painted.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the K is spray painted over there, and then the B's kind of hanging down. I just thought that was a little insulting as a child about Toys R Us. I was like,
yeah, that's true.
We're your audience, and you're saying we're idiots?
Yeah.
We can't, first of all, spell the word R.
Yeah.
And then we can't do it frontwards. And no, sorry.
Yeah. And that giraffe is my friend? I don't think so.
That's why they went bankrupt.
That's why. Jeffrey.
Oh, man. Guys, this has been wonderful.
It's always a pleasure getting to chat with you.
My day, Paul, Michael, Paul, whatever order it goes in.
Goes in both orders.
Both orders, guys. I want to thank you so much. Seriously, please let me plug your music for you one more time here. If you guys did not catch it the first time around, the record is called Signature Please. It will be out January 26th. We will have links in the article and everywhere so that you can listen and share and follow along and just generally stay tuned for everything else. I'm excited and I can't wait for more.
Oh, thank you so much. It was great chatting with you as always.
Yeah, great talk. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great chatting with you guys too. Have an amazing rest of your day and hope to speak soon.
Yeah, man. Talk soon.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Take care. Bye-bye.